welcome back after the coffee break and networking. Hopefully you had some refreshing drinks and some croissants, right? We are continuing with our session, which is Omni-channel Journeys in Pharma with Salesforce Marketing Cloud. From left to the right, welcome Dirk Abeel from Reckitt, not Benkiser anymore, Cyril from MSD, and Joaquin from ShowerThinking. So gentlemen, pleased to have you here, and hello.
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 Okay, so let's set the stage and start with our first question, which is how does our omnichannel strategy look like, and how it will be once we go back to next normal? Maybe we can start with you, Joaquin.
Okay, thank you, Dario. Yes, exactly. So let me first set the stage, explaining what means Salesforce Marketing Cloud for pharma. Very, very short. Salesforce Marketing Cloud is one of the preferred solutions for pharma companies to improve the customer experience. When we speak about customer experience, we are speaking about healthcare professionals, but also patients and probably pharmacists. The reason why pharma companies are choosing Salesforce Marketing Cloud is mainly because its ability to orchestrate multi-channel journeys, which is the reason for this meeting today, in different channels like website, email, social media, and also through the sales reps. So at the same time, we are using this tool, which is a little bit complex for this reason, because can orchestrate multi-channels, but it's also the challenge that I see that many companies are facing. Let me just quickly share my screen about how do we see these challenges that pharma companies are facing, or the digital leaders in these pharma companies. One of the first challenges will be that how I can take my strategic journeys into tactics, because at the end you need to really write or create in Salesforce Marketing Cloud or a technical platform, a similar technical platform, this journey. So it's this, from my view at least, this is one of the main challenges. The second challenge is that the multinational companies, you see here in the second, the different countries or teams, they have different maturity in digital maturity. You could be working with countries where the digital maturity, they are in a first states, where other countries are on more advanced state. So how do I create these multi-channel journeys if the different countries are on different levels? And the third challenge I will suggest that is how we co-create together with the countries if the headquarters are creating some global journeys, while at the local level, many times, they need to a more tactical approach when they are facing these healthcare professionals. How do I synchronize these different journeys? So just for introduction, Dario, and thanks for it. This is what my go-to states, and I think that here my colleagues will be very interested, to know their views.
Thank you very much, Joaquin. Cyril, let's start with you. How does our omnichannel journey look like? I think we have so many journeys these days.
Yeah, no, thanks. I think it was really interesting to hear Joaquin, because everything he says resonated very strongly with me. It's very familiar discussions we're having as well. So, the orchestration of journeys and so on. And maybe I can take a step back as well, just to explain how we approach omnichannel. That would help move to more concrete discussions. So to be clear on omnichannel, it's much more than just going to all channels and to put our content there, right? To have consistent look and feel. That's what we call multi-channel. And actually, I think the name of the game in our company, but I'm pretty sure same thing across the industry, is to move the shift from multi-channel to omnichannel. And so the way we've defined omnichannel is really about creating and executing commercial strategies. So the commercial part is really important. It's delivering customer value as well as business value. So it's really about building customer experiences that win over and retain customers. And here we just bring the approach from other industries, which also talk about customer lifecycle management, for instance, how you attract and then ultimately retain your customers. So we are trying to bring those approaches to our industry. And the orchestration of journey, the way Joaquin was explaining it, is definitely a key part of this. if I talk a bit more about the execution piece, how we execute it, there's 3 words that come to mind. One is about being seamless. So every channel needs to be integrated, needs to be connected. And it's also about being personalized. And that's where you need a lot of data. Because if you show a very generic experience versus a very personalized experience, and we're getting more and more internal examples of that, you see the difference in business impact. And the last piece is about the coordination. I think, again, that's where the orchestration that you were referencing, Joaquin, comes in play. It's about how you optimize everything so that you get this optimization automated. And that really requires the full organization to work on this, not just marketing, it's sales, it's IT, it's data and analytics. Every team has to work together to put this in place. So that's definitely, that's broad, that's just not impacted by COVID, right? It was something we were focusing on before COVID for sure, and that's going to stay. That's a strategic approach. If I look more specific, yeah.
So it's change management. It's not about the technology. It's about the change management.
Absolutely. But within that, you've got the technology piece. So MarTech investments, of course. You've got investments in data analytics, technology as well as people, because you need the right people to do that. Expertise in CX, design, customer experience design, and also being a learning organization. It's critical because we all need to move together at the same pace.
Definitely. Thank you, Cyril. Dirk?
Yeah, I'm happy with what you just mentioned, Dario. So change management, because I think from a technology perspective, already a lot is available. Is it already in the right place? And that's another kind of question. And I think both Joaquin and Cyril have clearly already mentioned that there is a lot there, but to make this whole orchestration and who is going to orchestrate the orchestration, if I can play with words, is it the sales rep who is the face, or is it a kind of ad hoc team, which is depending on the kind of interaction and who's putting all these resources together. But I want to step back again because, and it's something that Tim White said earlier today. We are living, we are all thinking the same here. We are believing in the importance of omnichannel. But when we go back to our organizations, and that's why I come back to this change management, it's a cold shower often because the mindset of the whole organization is at different levels. So maturity within the organization is already at a very different level. That's one. Understanding, and I want to link it also to purpose. What is the purpose for an HCP to engage with us? We know our purpose, but what is his or her purpose to engage with us? Because based on the purpose, also the channel mix you will have to bring forward will differ. If I want to really to learn more about your branded solutions, or I want really to be educated myself, kind of CME, continued medical education, or I want to have access to content whenever I want, the channel preference will be different. So understanding that already is, I think, still some work that needs to be done in many organizations. And then working backwards to say, okay, now what is our goal here? And how can we connect these dots? And then putting the right technology behind in orchestrating this journey, in giving, like Cyril said, the right data insight, not only the data, but the insights and looking forward, because what I am missing in many tools, even if you talk about Salesforce, the commercial cloud or the sales cloud or the marketing cloud, if you look at CRM systems, they're all very good in multi-channel management against targets and moving forward. But the sequence, the logic journey from one cycle to another, another kind of challenge I see. And that's what is making it difficult for sales reps to really understand this concept, because we have been brainwashing them about these cycles, and you have your cycle, if you target per channel, and etc., etc. No, it's not about that. It's about creating a long-term vision. It's about delighting our customers at the end of the day, and the sequencing is important. So a lot has been done, but still a lot has to be done. And how the future for me looks like, it will definitely be hybrid and another kind of type of sales organization we will have to build around that.
So a hybrid experience model, to sum it up. Let's stay with you, Dirk. Next question. We definitely see some digital fatigue, right? I mean, many people are enough with another webinar, another apps, another websites, whatsoever. So what most effective channels will stay in the next normal?
I will try to find my crystal ball to look in that. I think it will be a mix again, and I'll link it back to this: what is the purpose of the interaction? And it will depend a lot on also the, let me say, the digital savviness of the organization, and at the end of the day, the customer. And how are we going to help an HCP to do the same with his patients? Because let's not forget about that. We also need to help a lot of them in doing the same. So also they're going through this whole transition. So I think that remote engagements like we're doing now in small groups or one-to-one is there to stay. The same for a CME perspective, to whatever kind of solution you want to use. But the face-to-face part will also stay a pivotal piece for me, because this will be for me the glue. Because depending on the specialty, the healthcare sector stays still a very human-focused kind of sector. There is telemedicine, yes, but at a certain moment you want to see face-to-face, sit in front of each other and to discuss what really matters. And I see that the same for the physical interactions of sales reps with their healthcare providers will be different than it has been today, because digital will help us in doing maybe a lot more effective and in an efficient way other interactions as part of our sales cycle. So which channel, I cannot make a name, but it will be this marriage between a digital and offline world.
Thank you. Joaquin?
Well, I'm going to make a bet here. And my bet is probably, well, my point is coming, we are not only working for pharma companies, but also for different companies. And also other sectors have already faced this customer approach or interaction underneath of approach. And my bet is that some channels that we have experienced in pharma during the pandemic are going to stay from my view. And the most digital ones and the most effective, because those people see that they are very effective. Many HCPs, they are in a process from learning from pharma companies about different treatments, about different products. And my bet, is a little bit around digital workshop, some very specific webinars. We see that in some journeys, there is a lot of request for content from the pharma companies with this specific focus. So a little bit, I think that I would say that digital workshop, website, webinars are going to stay because they see that is more effective. But of course, as say Dirk, what really the meaning behind is, which is the journey, what I need to do and what they need from me in terms of the customers.
Thank you. Cyril, same question?
Yeah, well, I'm going to repeat what I've just heard. No, I think same thing. I'll take my crystal ball. I guess I've got a very similar crystal ball to yours, Dirk, it seems. Okay, look, I will start with, again, I will reiterate the point you made, Dirk. It's really about the experience, right? So it's not about channel affinity or which channel. It's about what experience are you trying to deliver, and for which customer type, what's your target audience, and so what you want to deliver, and that will guide you towards the right channel. So let's keep this in mind. But in general, what I would see is remote detailing, definitely here to stay. That has grown, as we know. But face-to-face, of course, is still very important. What you can achieve through remote and face-to-face is different. So, but for sure, both. I think we see HCP preferences and behaviors trending towards virtual now. Virtual events, webcasts, eCMEs. So, completely agree with what's been mentioned. But also increased use of other digital channels like emails, but more from rep or MSLs, for instance. And for sure, websites. No, you're right. It's not about getting to website proliferation. They need to have a purpose and a goal, but having this kind of 24/7 tool, a portal destination for your customers is critical. And I think we've been very focused more on the sales part. So if you look more at the marketing part now, for campaigns and social media is definitely growing quite fast in our industry. We're a bit slow to start leveraging it, but now it's accelerating across the board, I would say. In particular, because you can do very precise targeting. And the other thing which is going to change, not just for us, it's third-party cookies. This is going to go within a year or two. So how do you do precise targeting? Google is going to bring a new approach, but social media through match audiences and other tools will enable all of us to do that targeting and campaigning, right? So I've been very focused on social media, as you may know, but definitely it's one area we need to focus on.
Mm-hmm. So Dario, if you allow me, I was listening to my colleagues. If there is one thing I strongly believe that will be there and stay there is what we call, whatever is it, a microsite or a personalized portal where HCPs really can find the content they want, where they get content from companies, maybe even open platforms where different companies are providing content, so where they can go whenever they want and sharing with their patients. So creating this kind of relationship, but of course in respect with compliance and regulatory and et cetera, and also at the same time creating some online discussion fora, as has been mentioned before. But this microsite, personalized resource center, whatever we call it, I think that is something quite new, which will be there to stay.
Definitely.
I bet on one thing, it's that.
Sure. In the meantime, we received an interesting question from one of our panelists, Chris, who says experience is clearly the buzzword, right, referenced him. But what does it mean to an HCP, right? How can we take demand for pharma's knowledge and create valuable, sustainable relationships to our customers, not just targeted ones? A good one. Do we even need to respond to that, or everything's good?
Well, from my perspective, it has been mentioned already yesterday and today during the different sessions, it all starts with the customer. So if you want to talk about experience, if you want to understand experience, you need to go and talk.
Exactly.
It's designed. And I think also there we can do a lot more effort, because this is about a lot of investment. Again, at the end of the day, it will be translated in data and insights. But going to talk with them and developing experiences together. And in addition to this, for me, and maybe I'm kicking in an open door, it's not only about products, it's not about drugs only. It's also about services which you bring together. Maybe packages of services together with other companies which really create an experience beyond the product, beyond the pill, beyond the tin, etc., etc. So that's all I think how we can do that, but we need to keep the finger at the pulse by talking for whom we design it, and not we know it all like we like to do.
Definitely. In the meantime, we also received another interesting question from our previous panelist, Felipe. You'll see the question. And maybe Joaquin can give you the answer on that particular one in the best way, because ShowerThinking is partnering not only with pharma sector, but also with even Starbucks as an example. So I think you can really compare what does it mean to live omnichannel outside pharma and inside pharma, and what are the key takeaways. Joaquin.
Well, we see that in pharma, the way we are approaching is that now we have this amazing technology. There is an enormous gap in terms of training, as Cyril said before, which is the team who is going to create this customer experience, which is the team which are going to understand this omni-channel analytics. So from my view, there is a tendency still to use the standard approach that we have in pharma, which is basically to send, this, okay, we have these new tools, but we are using in a very basic way, which is just send this email communication and nothing behind. Because also need to say that from my view, creating in this sector, in the pharma sector, these omni-channel programs or projects is one of the most complex you can imagine. It's not so easy as in the past, comes to an agency or consultancy together with the marketing team, probably any other team, and together they can create, these journeys, these strategic journeys. But now you need a lot of technological people behind, analytics, expertise, in this case in Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and also the internal teams, people from your CRM, and put together between all these teams. So it's really what we see is that the approach in pharma, many companies are trying to create what they have been doing in the past, but now during this year or next year also, I think that we need to come to a next stage, which should be how to define. And also, many of our customers are asking, what are other customers in pharma doing? And really the response is that no one, from my view at least, has yet the response. Everyone needs to analyze and need to discover which is the best solution for this customer. So in terms of making a quick summary of your questions, in other sectors, probably more years already working. At the beginning in other sectors, like, for example, retail or fast-moving consumer group, they were always trying to understand what other companies are doing, but at the end, each company needs to discover. And as it's very more complex that you can imagine, it's not only to put there what plan for in by magic, you have this omni-channel journeys because you have the tool. Is completely different. You need to create this team of people inside the organization who are able to create and evolve these journeys.
So pharma can't learn anything from Starbucks, right?
It needs to. We need to.
By the way, in Starbucks you can order 16,666 different variations of coffee. So maybe information to know. So, but they are definitely experience-based. If you look, they are putting your name on the cups. They are calling themselves a third place. So definitely, they leverage experience a long time ago. Cyril, Dirk, would you like to build on the words of Joaquin?
I think I can go back to what we've been discussing. I think how do we describe customer experience and so on, and so maybe it's not just a direct follow-up here, but some agencies have been doing some really good work trying to understand what is CX, what is good customer experience in pharma, and they talk about the trust, they talk about simplicity, they talk about usefulness through what you bring to services. So I think there's been some work which is already available, which can help us with this. What I would add to this is, I think we are very focused on transactional discussions with our customers. It's all about product and features or rational benefits. We need to start laddering up to more emotional storytelling. In a way, we support the business. Right? I'm not trying to tell you to write books, stories, and so on. But every other industry does that. I come from consumer goods. I've worked in many companies in that field. You don't just talk about the product. So we need to also learn from that. That is a key trick to get to those real meaningful relationships.
Thank you.
I like that point because it's a bit. We also like to talk very technically, features and etc. I always like to say we should talk kitchen language because that's how a doctor talks to the patients. No.
Exactly.
So I think to your point, it's a functional benefit, but what is the emotional benefit on top of that? And also educating healthcare providers in that regard. Because when we talk to patients or to parents, it's astonishing to hear how many frustrations there are from that angle, not being understood by the healthcare provider. So we have this insight, and I think we also should start circling this back to healthcare providers to let them understand, are you aware of this? And we are here to help you, which for me is again is contributing to this creation of a user experience. But all the organization needs to circle around that. And that's the last point I want to say, because if your C-suite is saying so many nice things, but all the rest is going against it, and you need to keep on hitting your targets. Of course, we need to hit our targets, but profitability, etc., and it's not looking at satisfaction kind of things. Yeah, then there is a discrepancy. Yeah. So it's about walking the talk to when we start advocating or preaching this journey.
Yeah, definitely. But at the end, how to measure the success in the omni-channel environment? Because what I feel is we changed our app, we changed our tools, we changed the engagement levels a lot, but we didn't change the KPIs, right? So Who would like to go with that question?
Well, I like the response from Cyril at the start of this this meeting, saying that there will need to be a business purpose behind, and from my view, the analytics will follow. Will not be these technical KPIs that we are speaking, like click-through rate or open rate or any other measure that you can have digitally. There is still a lot of work to be do there, which is how to combine this standard or offline metrics that we have with the sales teams together with these digital metrics that we are getting. So although at the end, we need to have this business value that we need to present. So we are in a moment that many companies are still introducing this platform, but probably in some time we will need to provide very clear results, to the my view.
Yeah. Cyril, you want to add first?
Okay, thanks. No, I fully agree. For me, the way I look at it is like there's 3 levels, right? When you run an operating omnichannel, what they will call engagement metrics, more activity level metrics. So your usual, reach, percentage, frequency, view rates, all the metrics we know, and there's thousands of them, which are really critical still, because you need to understand how your activity is doing to be able to also optimize real time. So it's really important to have them and to have the data. But that's only going to tell you one part of the story, as Joaquin was explaining. That just tells you how well your activity is doing. It doesn't really tell you how well it's supporting the business. So the next level I see is more about customer satisfaction or customer experience level metrics. NPS could be one. There are others. It's hard to get to measure, right? It's not that easy, especially in our industry. But it's already a better. And then the ideal stage, which we are far away from, is business value, and a metric like customer lifetime value, which many other industries use. Starbucks, I'm sure, uses that, or B2B e-commerce models will be using. That's ultimately shows how much you invest and how much you get in return, right? So doesn't sound really well in pharma, because we talk about medicine and therapies and so on, but we still need to get to a point where we understand the value of what we are delivering. So maybe there are proxies to look at, but it's one area of interest.
Yeah, what I would like to add on that is from my end, it is the famous why question. Why is happening what is happening? And I give an example, because we say, okay, an open rate of an email, 40% is the industry standard, so I'm at 45, that's great. The question should be, why is this 40, why is this other 55%, what is happening there? Why did someone opt in and why is someone opting out again? Why is this happening? Why are people not coming back? So really better understand the reasoning why behind. And there we can still do a lot more. It's using the numbers. That's what I love about the numbers. But I'm intrigued about what it is not telling me. And we are happy. Okay, these are the guys that are coming there. We also should understand why are they coming back, by the way. But for me, the big black box out there is, why is it that we are still missing a big group which is not willing to engage or not want to continue the engagement to all these kind of fancy tools we've been putting out there?
Definitely. Okay, gentlemen, it was really a pleasant conversation. We also see that the chat is on fire. So feel free to join the networking sessions with the people. Please feel free to comment on the chat section. And I would like to thank you all, Cyril, Joaquin, and Dirk, for joining that. And of course, we will publish this on YouTube as well. Take care, and wish you a nice rest of the day.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.